What's up, guys? I'm going over today's trade recap. Today's the 28th of December. Couple days left of 2022. We're finishing up strong. Couple trades today, so I'll get right into it. First one was in Moderna. Moderna, if you see yesterday, had a really big sell-off, right? So if you look at the daily chart here for Moderna, where are we at? Huge dump, right? Huge down move. And this kind of selling, I was looking for some continuation. Ultimately had dream targets down in like the 166, 160 area. I don't know if, we can get there today or not. Maybe, we have a little bit of a stall day, happens tomorrow, or maybe we don't even, retrace all the way. But nonetheless, I was just looking for at least a decent entry, right? So I took this on the 2-minute chart here. And so it's a little bit of a different entry, but when the market first opened, we had like a little spike down and then a spike up. And then the market actually continued to run to the upside. But when the market was continuing to run to the upside, Moderna actually was retracing. And so I knew, okay, at that moment in time, the market was at highs and kind of going like this, right? It was kind of like bull flagging. And so I knew, okay, if the market did roll over at all, this would be really weak. So I took entry, I believe, right in this candle here. Once we, this 2-minute looked like it was about to close underneath here. And then, I kind of took entry in the last like 30 seconds of this 2-minute. And then it kind of on the same 2-minute just dumped and then, had another dump. So right away we were up like 30%. And, at this point in time, earlier in the day, we had big targets to the downside. And I said, okay, you know what? You can have two choices here after we just trimmed for 30%, which is a great trade regardless of size, right? You could either hold with the break-even stop or, equidistant stop to, your trim. And so I had a small size, so I held on. I did trim, but then I held on. And, because of theta, we got back up here and we got close to our entry. And we even slightly read at one point, I think like negative 10% or so, maybe negative 15% on this trade here. And so I was still holding on. I said that. And, some people I think added, which was great. I was just sized where I didn't need to add because the trade worked. It worked. And, sure enough, we had some weakness. And we kind of rejected all the way down here towards like 175s. And then trimmed a good chunk for about 50% gain. And then this candle happened right here. And this is when I was like, okay, shit. We trimmed, on this candle as well. And this is when I kind of knew, okay, this failure to go lower on this 2-minute right here, right? Failure to go lower based on this side here. This could be the bottom for the day. And I actually said, okay, you know what? Put my trail stop at plus 15%, which triggered somewhere around here. And sure enough, we did go higher before ultimately kind of just chopping around the rest of the day, right? So you would have been absolutely eaten due to theta because of this trade. And we even rebounded all the way back up to this 179.2 level, which ended up being a nice short entry. But, I just missed that. I was onto other things. And speaking of other things, we'll move on to the next trade, which was an AMD. So AMD, I actually entered a short position on ES at pretty much the exact same time, or maybe slightly before I took this AMD trade. And so basically for this AMD trade, I was looking for us to break the open. And when I did that, I'll show you in the 5-minute because that's where I took entry from. I took entry right here on this 5-minute candle. Or actually, no, excuse me. It was on this 5-minute candle. I took entry on this one right here. And, I was trying to anticipate the break of the open. The EMA slipped to the downside here, as you can see. Reverse hammer, almost retesting the 8 EMA. And, basically on my entry right here at like 62.70s, I had like a stop of like 20 cents or so. So it was it was a good play there. And all I was really looking for initially was just a move down to here. Down to this level down here. And anything else would be gravy. Down here we were able to take a trim for about 20%. And, we actually did have a small bounce from this level as we expected, but then we did have another nice down move where we made about 35% gains on that trade too, before eventually stopping out at break even. We had that nice run in the afternoon and then kind of just chopped around. So that's why it's really important to just kind of take what the market gives you. Yes, we did have nice targets to the downside here, but I'm always trimming along the way. And personally, I didn't honestly think that we would break this level at first. That's why it was just a quick scalp for me, little like, 0.5%, 1% move there in AMD, which was, good enough for, 25, 30%. Ultimately down towards the bottom was 35, 40%, I believe, or maybe even higher. I don't even remember. But that was a trade in AMD. Good trade there overall. No complaints. Next trade and the last trade was in ES. Oops. So here's the ES trade. This was pretty easy, and I actually already had this pre-marked. So I took this on the 2-minute, or maybe even the 5-minute, I don't remember, but I took it on this 2-minute candle right here. or maybe it was even this one right here. I don't remember, one of these two here. And I took it with a 6-point stop. My entry was about 38.46.25, I believe was my fill. So it probably was this one right here as this 2-minute close there. And I had a 6-point stop. Our max drawdown that we had was about 2 points and 3/4. So about almost 3-point, drawdown. So it didn't necessarily get close to our stop. As you can see here, we were kind of wicking to the downside, but also failing to go higher on the upside. But ultimately, end of the day, this was like a little bear flag right here. And so we kind of waited for the breakdown, and sure enough, this breakdown was pretty clean. Took the nice impulse down here, 5-point trim right away. Took an 8-point trim, I believe, and then I closed my full position right here for about 14.5 points on this candle. It did hit our level, and then we did bounce, so from this level we did bounce, about 8 points or so before, giving it up. And I actually was going to take an entry here. I had this set up and I had my finger on the trigger, but I just wasn't convinced we were going to make another decent sized leg down. And when I say decent size, I mean at least like 10 points. I'm not trying to just scalp with a 5-point ceiling, or a 6-point ceiling. I want at least 10 points so I can trim for 5 or 6 and then maybe 8 and then 10 afterwards, right? But ended up, we from this 38.26 level, we went all the way down to 38.13 for 13 points. That actually did end up working before a rally and then a late day dump, right? And now we're kind of back towards these lows, this previous lows of the day. We bounced right on this area here at 38.05. Next up will be 37.95. That might trade today in the overnight session. We'll see. But today, 3 trades, 3 wins. Good day, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. Catch you guys. Bye-bye.